What is up, guys? Rick Cactus here, and today was an absolutely massive day for Destiny 2. We had two different trailers release, a launch trailer and a vid doc. We had a bunch of information coming out about Forsaken and the future of Destiny 2, and we had a brand new update hit the game with patch 2.0, introducing the brand new weapon system and a bunch of other changes, including a bunch of buffs and some nerfs to exotic weapon and armor. So if you want to check out what those are, I've done a video on that. Definitely worth checking out because exotics are going to be some of the things that you really want to know which ones are good when you're leveling your character with Forsaken. You want to know what to infuse and so on. But in this video, because a lot of the information that came out regarding Forsaken was kind of widely known, especially if you guys have been keeping up to date with this channel, you'll probably know a lot of the Forsaken information already. But the new stuff today was unveiling the DLCs after Forsaken, the events, the seasons, and the annual pass DLCs that are going to be coming later 2018 and in 2019. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, this all begins with the Forsaken expansion and the start of the Season of the Outlaw, technically Season 4 in Destiny 2. So we have the August 28th update, Update 2.0, which introduced the weapon slot changes and so on. The next thing after that is on September 1st, we have the Gambit 24-hour free trial, which is exactly what it says. It's just you can play Gambit for 24 hours starting September 1st. At 10 a.m. Pacific. You won't be able to earn any new loot or anything like that. Then, on September 4th, we have, of course, the launch of Forsaken. On September 14th, we have the release of the brand new Forsaken raid, Last Wish. Then, on September 18th, we have the return of the Iron Banner, which is finally going to be really relevant again now that there's random rolls. And we also have a new Crucible map introduced with that, the Convergence. Then, on September 25th, we have a new Crucible mode, Breakthrough, and the new Crucible maps are going to be live. Moving on from there, in October, we have the return of the Festival of the Lost, but it says with a twist. Now, that's actually really interesting. Festival of the Lost has happened twice now in Destiny 1, and both times it went over pretty poorly. It was called the Festival of the Cost because it was a huge focus on microtransactions and the Eververse store rather than anything you actually, play for and earn. So as long as Bungie introduces potentially some new weapons or a new armor set or something that you play and earn rather than just buy, it's going to be, so much better than it was in the past. And then it just says, and more, including weekly playlist updates, the evolution of the Dreaming City, and additional surprises. So that's where we are right now in the near future. But then we have the 3 DLCs included in the annual pass. The annual pass is basically just a season's pass that you see in most other games where you have 3 paid expansions, 3 paid DLCs, and you can buy those all 3 together for a reduced price of, I think, $29.99. Now, anytime you have a season's pass like this one, you have kind of a split in the player base. The hardcore players that were going to buy this content anyways are happy that you can get it at a reduced price. But there's a lot of players that don't necessarily want to lock down a year of content for something they're unsure about, especially with Forsaken being the turning point in Destiny 2. This is going to be where a lot of the main complaints that Destiny 2 has had since launch are supposedly addressed. And a lot of players are returning with Forsaken. They don't want to necessarily spend money on something they're not sure if they're going to still be playing in a year from now. However, the great news here is that it's kind of a mix of both with this seasonal pass future content plan, because the annual expansions, the annual pass expansions, are going to coincide with seasonal changes. And those seasonal changes are going to bring a ton of free content. So you can play and enjoy Destiny 2 all you want, still be getting completely free new content to motivate you to play, and then at any time you can decide whether or not to buy these annual pass DLCs and unlock more content. So let's take a look at the first one happening on December of 2018 with the Black Armory DLC. So it's split here. Firstly, for the free content, the Season of the Forge. Firstly, we have heavy machine guns return. Oh my goodness, thank goodness. I'm so happy to be reading that. In the trailer, in the vid doc, they actually did show a heavy machine gun reloading. It did appear to be the Thunderlord. There are so many incredible machine guns from Destiny 1 that they could bring back. And of course, there's going to be likely all new ones. Always happy to see a new gun type. Even though this is a returning gun type, anytime Bungie can add a gun type to the game, it's greatly benefited the game because it changes your gameplay styles so dramatically with this brand new gun type. So happy to be reading that. And that's free to all players, which is fantastic. Also, there's going to be new weapons, new Crucible content, Iron Banner, gameplay updates, and seasonal ranks. And this is tied to the special event during the season, the Dawning. So the Dawning is going to return for year 2. Now that's the free content. What about the paid content for Black Armory? Well, it says, discover the weapons of Light and Fury. Add the Black Armory's treasure to your legend. Essentially, the Black Armory is this incredibly powerful vault of golden age weapons that you're going to get to break into and gain access to these weapons. Like, it really seems like a weapon focused DLC, which I'm all on board for. So you're going to get access to the Black Armory, new Forges of the Chain activity, a new raid layer, new exotics, new legendaries, new triumphs and collections, and bonus rewards. What stands out to me there is new raid layer. Really excited to see that this annual pass content is still going to be adding raid type activities. Even if it's just a raid layer, not a complete raid, the raid layers have actually been pretty decent in terms of endgame content and fun pieces of content to do. So I'm very happy to be reading that. Now, that's for December. Moving on from there, we have the second annual DLC coming in spring 2019 with Joker's Wild. So firstly, the free content update is called Season of the Drifter. It's going to provide new weapons, new Crucible content, Iron Banner, gameplay updates, seasonal ranks, and an event that is to be announced. During this time, we have seen previously Crimson Days. Perhaps that could be returning with, a bunch of changes or kind of as is, but that's the only kind of event that we've seen around this time. Moving on from there, for the paid expansion, Joker's Wild, it says that Gambit was only the beginning, and the Drifter, who is the NPC in charge of Gambit, is ready to deal you another deadly hand. So we're going to learn more about this character, more about how Gambit came to be and kind of why you're doing this and all of that stuff. So it's going to include a new activity experience, Gambit Evolves, new exotics, new legendaries, new triumphs and collections, and bonus rewards. So no raid layer. That's definitely something that stood out right away. But interestingly, it says new activity experience. Don't exactly know what that means. That's pretty vague. And Gambit Evolves is really, really interesting. How is Gambit going to evolve? Are they just going to pile on a bunch of content to it, like a bunch of new maps, potentially some different modes that could happen within Gambit? Like, these are all things to consider for Joker's Wild. But it's interesting that they're really expanding upon Gambit and making a whole DLC out of it. And as someone who's played Gambit, it is really fun. Can it contain a full DLC worth of content? That's another question. We don't really know. Moving on from there, we have the Summer 2019 DLC with Penumbra. So, firstly, we have the free seasonal update, Season of the blank. They're not releasing it just yet. It includes new weapons, new Crucible content, Iron Banner, gameplay updates, and seasonal ranks. That's what we saw last time. An event is also to be announced. Moving on from there, the paid content, Penumbra, it says, only the brave will learn what lurks in the shadow. Only the strong will survive its teeth. So this is a really interesting one. During the vid doc, Bungie actually says, when talking about Penumbra, what would happen if we just release a piece of content and don't really say much about it? It includes a bunch of the secret, whisper of the worm type stuff, and we let the community figure out what's going on here. That is actually crazy if they do that. Like, that's nuts. I really want to see what, more what's going on and if they're truly sticking to that plan. So what's included is a new activity experience. Again, very vague. I don't know what that could be. A new raid lair does reappear here, which is awesome. New exotics, new legendaries, new triumphs and collections, and bonus rewards. So those are the 3 DLCs coming in the annual pass, and that is going to be the content that's hitting Destiny 2 up to potentially Destiny 3. After summer 2019, it's fall 2019, and if Bungie is still on the 2-year cycle, that's going to be when Destiny 3 does release. If it does at all, they could potentially be introducing another big Forsaken style of expansion and continuing with another annual pass potentially in more seasons into a year 3. Like, this is all hypothetical, we don't know, but again, that's what's coming within the next year for Destiny 2. And, that looks pretty promising. I actually really enjoy that the people who aren't necessarily buying the annual pass, they're still getting content. I like to see new weapons every single time there's a new season. So again, you have a much easier time convincing your friends to come back and try Destiny 2 again or to play with you. And if they're sticking around and enjoying the content and having more to do, they're way more likely to spend money on the game. That's the Fortnite experience. People are going to spend money on a game that they really enjoy playing. It's as simple as that. Now, in terms of the paid content, it is looking pretty interesting. I actually really like the themes of all 3 of the annual pass DLC. Like, I love the idea of the Black Armory, introducing these insane weapons. I love the idea of Expanded on Gambit. I love the idea of this, like, kind of secret DLC that the community has to figure out. Like, all those sound very good to me. It's definitely good to be seeing new raid lair in 2 out of 3 of these DLCs. I would definitely rather have 3 out of 3, but, we'll have to see what these new activity experiences are before we can judge the actual content in these expansions. But, what's really good is that during the vid doc, and what should be represented here, is that Bungie has stated outright that they really want to end content droughts, that they want to have enough content and an influx of enough new content that there's always stuff to do in Destiny 2, and that's exactly what we need to happen. And so guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.